Tony D and Little Joan, and I am so completely fried today, thanks to Little Joan. I'm going to postpone the Piney Podcast until tomorrow. I'm very sorry, but I have to. I am too fried to do it. I will do it tomorrow. But I did want to make a thank you video. I've talked about fans that have been a little wacky, but I'd like to talk about fans that are very, very nice to me. And there's way many of them, and I'll probably forget a whole bunch of them. But I just thought I'd tell you some really nice stories about fans, and I've been having a lot of great luck with the fans of late, picking up more subscribers, picking up more followers on Twitter, meeting more people. So one of the fabulous things about going out there and selling your book is when someone says, uh, when fans consistently say the same thing over and over again when you give them the pitch. And one of the things I get all the time, which is always very gratifying, is when I give them the pitch of the Pineys. It's about a family of hunters that hunt the kin of the Jersey Devil, and they go, "Oh, that's so cool." It's really nice, and it's happened so many times. It's like I never grow tired of it. So thank you for that. Um, some fans, they're just very excited. I wish I could remember them all, but there's too many at this point, I'm happy to say, and it's really hard for me to remember people. But I was at the Unexpected Farm 2 days ago, and so I had mother and son come up. The son, he was a teenager, and he was in a Halloween costume because it was like a trunk or treat thing. They already had all my books up to book 13, and they wanted to make sure, so they called it home to make sure. They weren't sure if they had 13 or not, but so they called it home and then confirmed that they did have 13 and then bought 14 and 15. And so that's always very exciting to know that somebody has all your books, especially when you're doing a series like this. I met someone today who was very excited, and she said she was one of the other vendors at the event today, and she said, "Oh, I'm going to buy your other book." And I said, "Oh, thanks so much." And then she went on to say that she read a lot of books on Kindle because she has a Kindle, and I said, "Oh, my books are on Kindle as well." I said, "Do you happen to have Kindle Unlimited?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, all my books are on there for free, and I still get paid." And I do, by the way, just so you know. Um, and she was very excited about that. She's like, "Oh, I'm going to download all your books then." And I said, "Great, thank you so much." I forgot to ask her to give me a review because, again, so tired today, Joan. Um, so thank you. So that's good news, and it's great because I don't know if I told you this, but I'll tell it again anyway. On the Kindle software that you go to in your account, um, you can see when people buy your book, but you can also see as people are reading it because we get paid by the page. So if you read 10 pages, like the little line goes up and it tells you, "Oh, you made like," it's like, in increments of cents. So, I don't know, 10 pages will be like, I don't know, 5 cents or something like that. But when the line doesn't go up, that's when I go, "Oh no." Uh, but more and more, I have fewer and fewer days when the line isn't at least moving. And so that's, again, awesome. Great to see. Um, I had people online talk about specific characters and incidents in the book, and that's always a great indicator that somebody really likes it because they read it enough that they remember the characters and what they're doing and what they would want to see. So more recently, I did some shorts and mentioned I won't say it again because they went spoilers. But I mentioned one of the legends that's going to be in the next book, and they said spoilers. Like, oh, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. But that's fine. It wasn't a big spoiler. I mean, I've been waiting to do this legend for a while, so. And if you're anything like me, if you were to get the book, by the time you get the book and sit down to read it, you're probably going to forget what I said and get engrossed in the book and kind of forget until it comes up again, and then you'd be, oh, you're right, he said that. But that's always great when fans mention specific characters or storylines or things that they liked. That's always fun, because then I'm waiting. I said this to my girlfriend the other day. I said, "Oh, I'm going to be so excited when I get my first cosplay." Once me, I'm not like a huge fan of the cosplay. Oh, but if you're dressed as my characters, then I'm your biggest fan. My books aren't popular enough yet, I don't think, for it to happen, but it's not. I don't think it's that far away. It could, in a Piney event situation, maybe. I'm getting to the point where I'm doing certain events multiple times, and people remember me from them. So, for instance, I think it's Saturday. I'm doing Geek Fest. Yeah, Geek Fest is this Saturday, and I've done that now. I guess this will be like the third or fourth time I've done it, because I think they do it every 6 months. And they're high schoolers, because it usually takes place in a high school, and so they would be a little more open to it, I think. But you never know. I mean, when I get my first cosplay, I hope I instantly go, oh, that I instantly recognize it. And there'll be many pictures taken, and I'll be very excited. Just so you know. Now, don't go out and do it just to surprise me, but, I feel like it's going to happen organically. I don't want to make it artificial. I don't want to, pressure anybody into doing it, but I feel like it will happen eventually organically. So it's always very exciting when people already know my work and are buying the books or intend to buy the books or talk about buying the books or whatever, or ask me questions. So that's all great. I know it seems like, oh, you're just talking about purchasing money. It's not really about that. It's about people reading it. I mean, I need the money to live, thank you, but I'm not at the point yet where I don't, I envision a time, hopefully in the not too distant future, where my head would be above enough water that I could just, go to shows whenever I feel like it and blow my money on food and buying cool Jersey Devil stuff. I go to these shows all the time, and I think to myself, oh man, I wish I was making some serious money, because then I could buy all this cool stuff I see all the time. And especially some of the food, because I was at the Unexpected Farm. They usually have some pretty good food vendors. They had a woman who made homemade bread, another woman who made homemade jam. I mean, there you go, right there. They were right next to each other too. I just wanted to go right down the line and buy all their stuff. But I met some other vendors. They did teas, and they're called brutal teas. So they're like heavy metal teas. Not like there's actual heavy metal in them, but like their theme is like a heavy metal theme. So yeah, I got their card around here somewhere. I forget where I put it, but oh man, and it's all loose leaf too. If they had had a blueberry tea, I would have bought some, because I used to have this great blueberry tea that I loved, but I ran out of it, and I bought it in New York City, so I'm very unlikely to get that particular tea again. But I was reminded by that, and I thought, oh man, if I could get that tea again or something very much like it, I'd be a very happy person. Oops, sorry, I'm again very sleepy, just slopping myself up. So yeah, it's been great, and part of it too is doing the events. So many events this October. So many, in fact, that I feel like I've neglected my phone duties. I spend a lot of time on the phone calling places up to get events. And I really got some open spaces in November I got to try to fill at some point. It's getting kind of late in the game. So maybe I'll do some calls tomorrow, but got a few weekends open. I still got some days in December I'd like to fill up. But I got, how many I have in November? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. That's not bad. And then December I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's always tough to fill December. But another great thing that's happened too is I started getting calls kind of out of the blue. Not even people I contacted, but people who got word of me doing an event, and then they liked it so much they recommended me to someone else, and then they call me and then, oh, we'd like to have you for this date whenever. So yeah, I've booked. That's why November is mostly full. I mean, 9 events is pretty good. And so yeah, I just wanted to thank everybody because I couldn't do this without you, you know. And my goal overall is to get to the point where, you know, I kind of do. I love doing shows, but it would be great if I could do just shows on the weekends or just just the bigger shows. I'd like to upgrade to the bigger shows someday, you know. Not that I wouldn't do the smaller shows if I was asked or if I just felt like doing it, but it is a bit of a grind, and I would spend more time writing and doing less shows if I had that choice. I would want to consolidate the shows and stuff, and then my hope would be that I would be popular enough that I could bring a lot of my fan base to a smaller show. I wouldn't want to do it every like I do the Unexpected Farm a lot. If I did it every single time, then it would kind of make it less special, especially if I was bringing in dozens of people. I would want it to do it on a regular basis, but not like overwhelm them and make it less special. But my goal would be to spend more time writing and get to the point where the Pineys is really big, or at least big enough that it sustains me with less effort, and then more people are reading it, and then I could spend more time crafting it or doing maybe merchandise. That's what I would like to do. I would like to do shirts, and I mean, I've got the Piney Power shirt and a few other things, but I'd like to get like a line of merchandise, like Piney merchandise, and maybe a board game. I really want to do. You may remember from one of the Pineys books that the characters played a board game called Road in the Pines, which Hemingway lost the instructions for. And what I'd like to do is make the board game, but it would be the board game that the characters had. So, like, it would be designed to be to look like a used board game, and then it would come with no instructions except for what would look like handwritten instructions from Hemingway for his rules. And then you could go online and download like the real rules for free, but I think it would be funny to have like a crazy set of rules that Hemingway would impose upon you, kind of, and that some of the pieces would be a little mismatched, and some of the cards would have his like things crossed out and like notes from him that if you play the quote real way you could ignore, so there'd be like two versions of the game. The one game which is the way you're meant to play it, and then the other version of the game, which is like the way Hemingway made up. And then it would come with cool pieces and stuff, and it would have art and maybe art from the books, and And yeah, maybe I could get Vig to do some like a board game piece. That would be neat. And then I think people would like it. I think it would be fun to sell a Pineys board game. Um, from the Pineys, and it would be Road to the Pines. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not ready for that though. I mean, I have to make the rules and all that stuff, but that stuff will, happen, and I have to play test it too. You have to play test when you make a game, in case you don't know. But I just think it would be cool to have that just box, that board game box of my own, with my own game, and then just have a big pile them on the table to sell, all shrink wrapped, ready to go. Although maybe it wouldn't be shrink back, maybe it'd be loose or whatever. But no, I guess I'd have to have it shrink wrap, because otherwise you drop the box and the pieces would all fall out, and you won't want to lose the pieces yet. But anyhow, that is my dream, and you out there in fandom are making my dream come true. So thanks for that, and I'm gonna go get some sleep so I can get up and do the Piney Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.